Evening YouTube, Abyss Full of Goats here, and over the last week I've done 2 events with this new version of Burning Abyss. It's somewhat similar to the last video I posted on the deck, but I've modified it to go second, so I can beat big board decks like Branded Despia and of course Spright. Now before we start, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Drew, Traveller of the Burning Abyss, because his deck definitely inspired this. So yeah, let's see what we've changed, shall we? Start off, triple Graph, double Seer. Again, this is similar to last time. Graph is one of our best both starters and extenders. Being the card we get off the tour guide, it's the card it's also the card we can send off of Cherubini necessarily. Seer is how we grind out in this event, because we can either recycle our Dantes and other BAs if we need to. Only need 2 because with Cherubini and Foolish Burial you can search this out from your deck very easily. One change I did make, I upped the Firefist to 3. This deck is going second, so more removal is always welcome. And with a lot of XCs with the Spright matchup, having a card that can basically get rid of all the material is really important. And triple Scam. This is obviously how we end our combo. It sets up tour guide in our hand for the next turn. It can be used to refill our hand up in the grind. It's just a really good card. Next for our one-of, Baba and Kelcab. Kelcab is mostly just a name, whereas Baba, this is how we win in time. We send it off, do 900 damage. That can be enough sometimes to win the game if we've got the time. Didn't come up today, but it can sometimes. And for our final Burning Abyss, double Alec. This is the Burning Abyss we must want to save if we get out the Fusion Dante, which can turn all of these to hand traps. So having 2 additional effect veilers can be pretty good. That's our Burning Abyss lineup. Next for the supplementary cards, triple Rhino, double Tour Guide. Okay, I'll be honest, these cards are getting cut down big time in the deck list in the future. In the future, I think I'd probably just go something like this for a ratio, because I'll tell you, almost every game I lost was because of this card being ashed or veiled or something, and my turn just ending. Honestly, Tour Guide has been power crept so much, I would generally recommend just playing 1 to get off the scam for a follow-up play and just not doing any more with it. Rhino is a bit better because if it's sent off Dante, you get a Foolish, but again, if this gets hand trapped, you're also in the same spot. So yeah, these definitely should be cut down, I think. Here's the big, one of the first going second changes I made, double Lava Golem. We're in an environment now where Nibiru isn't actually that good at taking out big boards because of gigantic Spright. So this can take out 2 negates, and can also be taken out itself easily with Zeus. So yeah, in this meta, I do think this is better than Nibiru. It helped me out against the one game of Spright I played. So yeah, that's that. 1 Fairy Tale Snow, because it's a good thing to send out Dante. It's disruption repeatedly, and it can be brought back as a wall. Then the hand traps, triple Ash, double Veiler, triple Crow, and triple Impermanence. So this ratio, Imperm can hit anything, and it gets around gigantic Sprights and negates, so this is probably the best hand trap right now. Ash is just Ash, you know, it helps slow down combos, mostly good against Despia, against Branded, which my meta is full of at this point, so yeah, it can be really good there. Crow, it gets elf targets out of the graveyard, it gets Toad out of the graveyard potentially, it can interfere with Despia plays. This is a really good hand trap, this format, I would highly recommend it. And 2 main deck Veilers, I decided the 3rd in case I needed it. Not as good as it used to be, but still can just be very disruptive, so there's that. Now for this biggest addition to the deck, triple Dark Ruler No More. Yes, I'm actually maining this card. Again, this deck is leaning hard and going second, so if your opponent makes a full board of like Toad, Giant Spright, and the Spright main deck negates, this can just shut that entire thing down. It also because this and this plus a Zeus can break almost any board. So yeah, that's the biggest addition I made to this deck. And finally, 1 Foolish Burial and a main deck Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave, stops hand traps, can take a toll out of the grave. You know what this card does. and foolish because having one additional copy of every monster in your deck pretty much is not going to be good. Moving on to the extra deck, not much really changed here from the last list I showed, to be honest with you. Still play the 2 Dantes, the 1 Beatrice, the 1 Purple, and the 1 Cherubini for the BAs. Dante, still good as he ever was. He recycles your cards. He's a massive wall which I had to get over, and he can actually beat down on a lot of monsters when they're under the Dark Ruler. So he's one of the easiest ways we can make Zeus, because you can just go into this guy, then overlay him into downloaded and then into Zeus. Beatrice gives us access to more disruption from the deck. She can send off Farfa to remove material from her opponent's XCs. She can send the Graph or Seer if necessary. She can set up Scam to fill up her hand again. And of course, if she dies, she makes Purple Dante, because having 2 more effect valors with an Alich, search on command, is just really good. The targeting protection isn't as good as it used to be, because a lot of effects these days do not target, but it can come up sometimes. And Cherubini, it's a great setup, it's a great first monster to go into. It gives our board better protection, and it can just be a decent beater at times as well. So that's our BA lineup. Other XCs in the deck, we're actually going for double Zeus this time. And yes, with this deck, how much this deck grinds, 2 Zeus can come up. Essentially, this is what you're trying to end up with every time. You're trying to just get an attack through, make this, and just destroy their whole board. Because Spright usually puts a lot of their hand into the combo. So if you can do that, it can be having to come back through. So yeah, this is the boss of the deck. It's pretty much the main threat of the deck. 1 Darius. This can help out really big or problematic monsters, because you can touch material and it'll destroy any monster in battles. And that's it for our XCs. For the links, 1 IP Masquerena, because if you're going first, you pretty much want to make this with a Beatrice under it. So that much gives you 2 disruptions by itself. Nightmares of Unicorn and Cerberus. I didn't play Phoenix today because there's not that much back row you need to worry about. So these are just ways to clear the board if you're going up the chain to the Moral Sword finish. Yes, I still play Moral Sword. I'm not spending that money on Access Code Talker. This by itself is a great OTK enabler. 1 Appaloosa and 1 Borrowload Dragon. Appaloosa again going first if you can make it. This is 2 or 3 disruptions, and Borrowload can get around cards that can't be targeted, can take them to your field. So that's the extra deck. And now for the side deck. Triple Twins for Mystic Mind decks, for Eldritch, rogue decks basically. Speaking of which, double Mystic Mind. Now this came up twice in the event actually, because this 1 card, assuming that they can't negate it with a toad or something, can out most big boards. You just drop this and then you either stall behind it until you can draw your out, or just make a Zeus and out the board right there. More hand traps, triple draw and the additional Veiler. The 3rd Veiler comes in against a couple of matchups where the Crow isn't really good. Droll is good against, again, Despia and sort of Spright if you drop it before they make Gigantic Spright. So yeah, that's what that's for. Finally, Nibiru. If you're not playing against Spright, this is still a really good out to big boards. And I played against 3 branded matchups, so this was great in that matchup. And speaking of which, in a meta filled with branded and Shadow and all that stuff, of course we play the 3-dimensional barrier. Best against branded. It can be good against Spright, even though they can still make a couple of negates. So yeah, that's my new going second anti-meta Burning Abyss deck. It's not the greatest deck in the world, but I came forth with it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.